even if, like you said, they're a bit vague.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's probably sometimes that's helpful because they're open enough that it's ensuring that all organisations, all services within the council umbrella can feed into those aims, as opposed to it being really, really kind of too tight in that way. So it's not unhelpful, I suppose. There is a big focus on inclusivity, which obviously is really key for this. So.
I'll write that down, but let's wait till Victoria gets back. So anyway, we were just thinking about what are the council aims and just mapping them out on here. So we've got inclusivity.
Yeah, inclusive. And something that's always come through is proud. So the idea that they're trying to utilise culture and museums, galleries to create a city that the residents can be proud of. Which again is, there's using culture to kind of regenerate the area. So that's something that's always come through.
Regeneration's quite a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, there's been a big push for kind of cultural regeneration. What we can do with the area, what we've already got here, rather than kind of creating new things. That's been a real focus, I think, for the culture department. Is there's actually so much here already. There's a huge art scene. There's a need for studio space. There's a need for space for practitioners and people to kind of create work. It's not like we don't have that activity here. It's just about how we start linking it up more and how we can kind of, pin it down. There is a big focus on trying to encourage, for example, South Essex College and the university, they've got individual departments trying to encourage those people to stay here. And so there's a big media focus here, but they then all leave to go to big production companies outside of the area. Yeah. So there's more of a focus on, we need to start, supporting institutions and organisations to then create jobs to keep those students here. So there is a real kind of there's an appetite for it, and again this all kind of links to the pride thing, doesn't it? So it's developing all of those things are essential to developing a city that people can be really proud of, and that residents feel really kind of proud to be from or to live here.
So there's something here as well then that's about reputation, isn't it?
I think it all comes from there.
Right.
Is completely reframing the reputation of the city and to kind of move away from the traditional narratives of the Essex girl, Essex boy. There's a refocusing on actually harnessing, utilising those kind of, not even the stereotypes, but the kind of the reputations, and turning on its head and saying it's a really good thing. The people here are really unique, and there's a lack of willingness to kind of go with the grain. So people that's why there was such a huge kind of bubbling subcultural scene here, because people were really kind of, they're just essentially, there's a real joy of being rule breakers, which is something that's come out really strongly in some of that branding work. And it's actually saying that's a really nice thing, that's a really good thing for the area, it's really unique, it's really different.
So my question here then is what are your aims? What do you want to do with this exhibition? I mean, obviously they're going to be reflecting more broader initiatives and ambitions. So what do you want to do or try and do through this?
I'd really like to diversify our audiences. I want us to kind of break out of and it's definitely something that we've started doing over the last few years. Shows like Subculture are a really nice way to start that process, to kind of break out of the traditional regional museum construct. Yeah. Something that we've always tried to do with the fashion shows, at least. Not just doing his 1920s fashion. It's more about the construction of the identity. So to kind of move away from those, I suppose the way that people might perceive us, but potentially who have not been here, and they might just assume, oh, you've got a really big fashion collection, but you're a regional museum, so if you want to go and see beaded flappers, go to, But actually, for a long time, we've been trying to do things that aren't just using, those kind of traditional, here's from this era and here's from that. It's been more about kind of subjects we're exploring, using the fashion as a kind of medium to drive that. But I do really want to make people think slightly differently, to try and open minds a bit. As I said, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, this is terrible, why is this in a museum? And then there'll be some people that will think, God, get out of the Stone Age. So for me, that's going to be quite important how we can do that without being kind of, you know, I suppose, without being too enforcing our views. And kind of, it's tricky, really.
I mean, I think it can be tricky. I think it's also really brave and admirable. Well, not even brave. I think it's really admirable. I mean, my thing is that by doing a show on drag, you committed to that already, whatever the content is. So when I listen to you talk about this, one of my things is about scale of impact, and some of them, like diversifying audience and open minds, they seem a kind of local impact, and I don't mean local in a pejorative way, but it seems like the impact is here.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about renewing perceptions and break from traditional reach, that seems like you're looking for an impact, a much kind of not bigger impact, but impact from much further away.
Trying to demonstrate that, if anything, you've got to be so much more innovative and creative. When you work with basically no money, how do you create something that we want to create with nothing? And it's by a lot of kind of doing it ourselves and just getting stuck in, and you know, it's that way of, I think that's really undervalued. I think through the music and the colours and the fact that you feel very much like you're potentially in a performance or going to see, you know, seeing something. I don't want to kind of suck the life out of it in that way by us pinning it down and putting it into a tradition. Do you know what I mean? It does need to be really fun and really kind of silly and crazy. It's got to be draggy, totally. But I think it's so important to this story, but also again, you know, with the part of the opening minds thing, if people are having a brilliant time, they're instantly more receptive to these ideas and kind of just more open to the fact that it's not dark and scary, it's really fun and it's really interesting. And it's so I think it's going to be really important to make sure we keep that running through the space, and obviously we can do that in the design and the colour, you know, all of those elements of it.
It's going to be obviously it's going to have this aspect of joy and fun and what drag is and drag people, literally drag people in. But there's going to be some sort of important points to be made to first not incurring the risk of making these, you know, these sort of hen-do night out and sort of using the community as just a fun thing.
Right.
This is fun for the use of, you know, people that are not part of the community. But also there's some points that I think very important for people within the community that will have to be made and maybe are less fun, are more serious and grave.
But it's definitely, that's really essential, because again, that feeds back to what we want to do from the start in terms of this whole show. Is about opening up conversations around those things that people experience within that community.
How serious do we want to go?
I think we don't need to sort of focus obviously on the trauma. That's something that, you know, mistake that's commonly done as well. But I was thinking mostly on obviously a lot of people that will come to these and not be familiar, seeing this for the first time. We know that there's a lot of confusion, for example, between the different identities and who does and not do drag, who can do it, what these people are. Especially, I guess, for the trans community, it's very important that people come out of a space about queerness and don't have any confusion of how the two things are different, but also interrelate and interconnect and are obviously historically connected, but not all. You know, drag performers are trans people, not all trans people do drag.
Because we can't erase the fact that we are a museum institution. So it's trying to it's embracing that as well as trying to not be really bound by that. So we're not fully beholden to that level of strict display, but we're also embracing the fact that we do have an element of that. So what we're trying to do is really important in terms of preservation and display and access and all of those things and mounting,
which is part of something that is also needs
for the toolkit. It's useful,
exactly.
This is kind of lots of the things we've been thinking about, and it's about then how we kind of refine it from there and the things that we do put weight to and how we do that to ensure that we can do, rather than being spread really thin and then doing a bit of everything. We want to focus on some things to do really, really well. And it feels like creating that space that this is all displayed in sounds like that's a really important part of this. So the physical design of the space is going to be really key to kind of expressing some of those narratives. So it's already becoming clear some of the things that we do need to start thinking about, and those are going to be really important in that journey. So making sure we do put enough time to potentially, creating wigs out of crin and whatever, all those other little things that are very time consuming, but they would be really important in terms of expressing something from here. It's just making sure we've got enough time.